Hi there, Nathan Lyle here with another edition of the Fan Perspective, and we're almost halfway through the season. Not quite there yet, but I think we've gone far enough that I can feel confident about doing this. And, well, I want to give some mid-season report cards. And my power rankings pretty much reflect the NFL standings. You have the Atlanta Falcons, who are undefeated at 7-0, and yes, they look like one of the best all-around teams in the league. They have an offense that's pretty much unstoppable. They have so many weapons they can throw at you. They have a defense that can get a lot of turnovers. They can play very stingy when they need to. This is a team that I don't think they're going 16-0. I think they'll probably finish like 13-3 more than likely. But yeah, they started 7-0. More than likely going to start at least 9-0 if you look at the upcoming schedule. At least, if not, but I mean, they could start 13-0 and just decide to rest everybody from there out. I mean, never know. They could go 16-0. I don't think they're even thinking about that yet, though, so I'm not going to. The most important thing is that they are the class of the NFL at this moment in time. And at the beginning of the season, before anything started, I was saying that in the NFC Championship, you would see the Eagles versus the 49ers, and in the AFC, it would be the Ravens versus the Texans. And some of that is kind of the same, except now the Bears have quietly crept up. Many people may not know that they are 6-1, second in the not only the NFC but the NFL, and third place in the NFL, number one in the AFC, the Houston Texans. Obviously, they are 6-1 as well. And I actually do put the Bears above the Texans just because even though they got the same record, I like the Bears' offense. It's got a lot more explosiveness. Arian Foster, you could argue, is the best running back in the league. Like I said, you could argue that. Ben Tate's a viable backup as well. I like Matt Forte. I think he's about the same level. I think he's got more versatility. He does a better job catching the ball than Foster. Even if he doesn't necessarily run with as much power, he's got that same elusiveness. And it's kind of like comparing Sweetness to Barry Sanders. I mean, you really can't go wrong with either one. Both of them. I think both of these guys are future Hall of Famers if their careers don't get derailed. They started off very well. I like the Bears better because they have more explosiveness. In the passing game, Jay Cutler, he's got a much bigger arm than Matt Schaub. And even though, Cutler, he's been known to play inconsistent throughout his career, I think, he's been playing fairly well this season. And even though I think Andre Johnson is a better receiver than Brandon Marshall has had better numbers this year. Both of these defenses, though, are just amazing. Two of the best defenses in the league. They get stops, they create turnovers, they make things happen. And next you have the New York Giants, who are defending champions. I stand by what I said in the preseason. They're not going to repeat. They probably will make the playoffs. They are not going to repeat as the champions, though. But for the regular season, yeah, they're playing pretty well. They've had some good matchups, and they fought through them all. They've only lost 2 games, both of them to divisional opponents, and both of them they were very close losses. They played through the bad times. They found themselves back on top again, fighting for in the fight for it. And then you have the only other teams that I really like are the Broncos, the Packers, and the 49ers. The Broncos and the Texans, yeah, they're pretty much the only teams in the AFC right now that I actually would want to see in the Super Bowl. They both have strong defenses. They both have a solid running game. I actually like the Broncos more than the Texans because Peyton Manning is a much better quarterback than Matt Schaub. I mean, Peyton Manning is my favorite quarterback in the NFL, period. And they've got a strong defense. It's hard to say who plays better, but I think that the Broncos, as the season goes along, they will only continue to improve. They are a very dangerous team. And the Packers and 49ers, I think they're about as good as they were last season. Packers, once again, struggling through injuries, but they know how to fight through it. Their defense could still use some work, but as long as Aaron Rodgers is playing at a high level, this has to be considered an elite team because Aaron Rodgers is one of the 3 best quarterbacks in the league right now. And then you have the 49ers, and they've got one of the best defenses in the league. They've got one of the best running backs to running games in the NFL right now. And you still, they're kind of low on this list. I put them kind of low on this list because I don't trust Alex Smith. If they fall behind, then the game's pretty much over. And so I don't like the 49ers that much. I mean, I love that they have a great defense, but the rest of the team is kind of lacking just a little bit. If they fall behind early and they're having to fight back from a deficit all game, then it's hard to believe that they'd be able to pull that out. I haven't seen that out of them yet. And so, yeah, they're kind of low. And also I wanted to point out a couple of teams like the New Orleans Saints. They're having a disappointing season. The Redskins and the Colts, they played better than I thought they would. And both of those teams, even though they're not even going to make the playoffs this year, next season they should be do something amazing. I mean, those are three. The Saints are probably going to be in the playoffs next season. That's when their head coach comes back. When the bounty thing is all behind them, and the Colts and the Redskins, they've got rookie QBs who are playing extremely well, and I think they should only continue to build on that. There might be some changeover with a few aging stars on defense, but they've got a lot of young talent on those rosters, and who knows, 5 years from now they might end up playing each other in the Super Bowl. And there are a couple of teams though where things are going to be changing. I mean, the Browns, they already got rid of their GM, Mike Holmgren, and who knows what that's going to bring. I actually think he did a pretty decent job. Maybe he didn't fit well with what the new owner likes, but the Browns have a good, solid foundation to build on. They've got some players in Richardson and Hayden that they can build a team on. And I look forward to seeing what they can do in the next couple of years. They've got some talent on that team. They started winning some games, and just who knows where they can go. And speaking of people who need to get rid of the GMs, I feel confident enough to say that the Dallas Cowboys are never going to win another Super Bowl under the Jerry Jones era, however long that may last. And when Jerry Jones first came into the Cowboys organization, they pretty much had everything set up already, and they had some good things going on. But since then, it's been nothing but huge disappointment after huge disappointment. And Jerry Jones is one hell of a businessman, and he might even be a decent owner. But as a GM, no, he needs to fire himself. He needs to get somebody else who's willing to say, we refuse to work with you as long as you're the GM. I mean, I think everyone wants to be a head coach in the league, and most people are not going to turn down a head coaching job. But the fact of the matter is, I think he's one of the biggest reasons. I mean, it's a top-down organization, and as you can see from the top down, the Cowboys have just progressively gotten worse since the 90s. First you lose the head coach, and you see that the team no longer has the dominance that they once had. And, Aikman and Smith, they all leave, and we can just never get back to that same magic. And it's just, I mean, in the first place, he's the one who fired Tom Landry. I mean, that just kind of tells you. I mean, don't get me wrong, Jimmy Johnson did a great job, but still, I don't think anyone wanted him to fire Tom Landry. You knew it would happen eventually, but either way, I think Jerry Jones is holding this team back more than anything else. And it sucks to say this because I am a Cowboys fan, but no, I think as long as he's the GM, since this is a top-down league, you got to look at, okay, where are they going wrong? And well, it starts at the very top of the guy, with the guy who's calling, who's calling the shots in the organization. And it's just, he should not be involved in the day-to-day activities. Now, that's going to hurt the organization long term. And, there are two head coaches, Norv Turner and Andy Reid, who, I can't really tell you where it went wrong, but it's gone horribly wrong. Andy Reid used to be one of the best in the league. Eagles were in the playoffs every single year. For, 5 straight seasons, I think, that they went to the NFC Championship. But, they're not handling things well right now. Norv Turner has a lot of weapons with the Chargers, and they're just not playing up to the level that they should be playing at right now. And so these are two things that they could easily... these are two teams that they should be playing so much better than they are right now. And over the past 2 or 3 seasons, they should have been playing so much better than what they ended up as. And you can only really blame the coaches. You got to know how to put your players in better situations. Yes, the players have to play through it, but then again, isn't it up to coaches to make sure they have the right players who will play for them, who will allow them to coach them up? It's, once again, the NFL is a top-down league. You cannot be any better than your leader. And so it's just, you can kind of see why some of these things, why some of these teams are struggling and what needs to change. And I think that's all I'm gonna do this video on. I just felt like talking about some of those things. I did not mean it to be this long. Tune in tomorrow for reflections from the NFL Week 1 and Week 8. And yeah.